The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame. Turn your memorabilia into a work of art.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Glad to have you with us for this live show. Technically, we're live 51 weeks out of the year. We were taped last week. Still did a huge number, better than any other show in town does in football season. So right off the bat, thank you for always watching The Sports Source. We appreciate it. Today, tons of Vols talk, football, SEC Media Days has come and gone. Tennessee's Title IX lawsuit has come and gone. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. First segment of our show, brought to you by my friends at Tennova Healthcare. And when you talk about Tennova, the great thing about them is when you're there, the first thing you want good medical care, obviously, but you want people care, personal care. And Tennova delivers that. They did for me, and they have for my loved ones. I can't say enough about Tennova and the job that they do. If you have a medical need, for goodness sakes, trust me and do what I do. I trust Tennova. Tennova.com to learn more. All right, want to welcome in the panel we have right here Mr. Bob Hodge, right down there, Vince Ferrara, Josh Ward, Russell Smith. I didn't call you Russell Wilson this week, so that's good. That's a good start here. SEC Media Days wrapped up this week, which means basically we're about 6 weeks from football season, amazingly. The predictions came out. I don't think there were a lot of surprises there. If we can, let's go ahead and take a look at the, I'm not sure that we can or not. Yeah, there we go. This is what the SEC media said, and as Nick Saban is very fond of pointing out, the media is rarely correct in these matters. But Alabama, you see the asterisk there, that's because they were picked to be the overall champion. But West and East, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss in the West, Tennessee, as expected, ahead of Florida and Georgia in the East. Thought it was interesting, Florida folks and Georgia folks, they're making note of the fact that Tennessee is favored above them. Your thoughts on the predictions from the media down there in Hoover this week, guys?
Yeah, it went about how I expected that it would. Alabama and Tennessee both picked to win their divisions. That was the talk leading up to the vote. And really, as we've seen these preseason lists come out, when you see ESPN and Fox and Sports Illustrated, Phil Steele with their preseason projections, Tennessee's been top 10 in every single one of them and easily ahead of Georgia and Florida. And then with Alabama, everything that it's done, Nick Saban was a pretty sure bet that Alabama was going to be picked ahead of LSU.
I think the only thing close to a surprise to me was the fact that Georgia wasn't second and it was Florida. I think some people that maybe were a little bit of a toss-up between those two might have gone with Florida just simply because of them winning the East last year. I think there's two tiers in both divisions, though. Right. There's the top three in the East and the West, and then 4 through 7, you can flip a coin and change the order of those in each division.
Also got to speak a little bit to the weakness in the East overall, right? I mean, Florida was probably the worst team to ever make the SEC championship game last year. Georgia, new coach coming in, and the rest of the league, the rest of the division is not very good at all. So Tennessee should be picked to win the East, in my opinion.
Is it a clear cut? I mean, I take Georgia and Florida seriously, personally.
Yes.
Do you guys? Russell doesn't sound like you really do.
Well,
which is all right.
I take Florida seriously because they've beaten Tennessee 11 years in a row.
Right.
I think Tennessee's season pretty much hinges on that one game. Georgia, if I'm Tennessee, doesn't scare me nearly as much. It just seems like Tennessee's had success historically against them, even when they were beating them 5 years in a row. Those games were always really close.
I'm going to go with you need to be scared of Florida and Georgia. As a matter of fact, I think if you're a Tennessee fan, I would be a little bit frightened of the entire season because the expectations are so high. But getting back to the picks, no, it was pretty much paint by the numbers. And I've already forgotten who said it because I'm an old man. But yeah, it is definitely, you could cut this into 4 divisions.
Right.
And you've got 2 divisions of 4 pretty good teams. And then I think you've got 2 divisions of not so good teams. So I don't think there was anything that came out of that was very much of a surprise. Even Alabama winning the SEC, until Alabama goes down, who else are you going to pick?
Well, exactly. And let's take a look at the all-SEC picks for the Vols, if we can. Number nine, I'm now doing the Beatles Revolution. Number nine. You've got 9 Vols that made the list. Derek Barnett, first team defense. Evan Berry, second team return specialist. He was an All-American in a couple of publications last year, but second team as a return specialist in the SEC. Trevor Daniel, third best punter. He was third team. I'm a little surprised by that. Josh Dobbs, second team quarterback on offense. Jalen Hurd, second team on offense. Alvin Kamara made it as an all-purpose back or an all-purpose player, second team. That's actually credited as special teams on the SEC list. Jalen Reeves-Maben, first team. Ja'Shawn Robertson, third team offensive line. Cam Sutton, defensive back, first team defense. You got, in terms of your defense, you've got a first teamer at every level. Thoughts on the guys that made the list or anyone that didn't make the list that you think should?
Well, my first thought is if you've got a better punter in the SEC than Trevor Daniel was last year, I mean, that's kind of surprising. And also, Jalen Hurd being second team. He's a first-team All-SEC player. I just think it tells you how stacked the SEC is at running back. But, I mean, he's a first-team All-SEC player, and personally, I think he's your most likely Heisman bet.
Out of Tennessee.
Out of Tennessee.
Yeah, it went close to how I thought it would go. The offensive line, I thought one of those guys on the interior would be chosen between Robertson, who got it, and then Dylan Wiseman and Coleman Thomas. They're all very close, I think, in how they're regarded. So Robertson won out. Other lists have other guys. I think the special teams voting was a little confusing because you have an all-purpose. I don't think people know exactly what to do with that in special teams, and then Christian Kirk returns both kicks and punts, so that probably gave him the edge over Evan.
Kamara's on that list, and Sutton statistically had a better punt return year than him last year. So I don't know, that may be some indication that the voting is not completely that well thought out.
And we'll go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, if they separated the punt returners and kick returners, I think maybe you would have seen maybe Cam Sutton get that punt return spot. But Christian Kirk didn't have enough punt returns to qualify. He had a slightly better average than Cam Sutton. I think that's the difference. They grouped the two together, and I do think they went on reputation with J.K. Scott from Alabama. Plus, it was in Hoover.
Well, there's no question. I mean, when they decided, and there's give and take. The plus is you have the ability to say, we had 7 million people at our media days. Right. Okay, got it. The downside is you've allowed 7 million people into your media days. And when they first said, okay, we're going to let this website in, well, you pretty much now let every website in, and 90% of them are fan sites.
Yeah, I wonder which way Touchdown Alabama's publication went with its voting in Birmingham, Alabama.
Just print out Alabama's depth chart, I think.
Probably third or fourth. They're very realistic. All right. When we come back, Butch Jones, while he was down there, spoke in cliches. That's what he does. That's what a lot of coaches do that. But people are seeming to get a little tired of it. So we'll ask. I had someone tell me on Twitter this week, it's a bad look for him and it hurts Tennessee in the program when he won't answer questions and he's just obfuscating and he's dancing around these questions with cliches. Does it hurt anything? We'll discuss. Come on back.